What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Big Humble Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Daddy Lockwood, along with my guest co-host, Jessie Jetski Johnson.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
And we have a very special guest today. In case you're wondering, Morgan is still being a dad. I think he said he's going to be back next week.
What am I going to do then?
I don't know. You got to find your own thing. Listen to Kill Tony.
Maybe they'll have me on as co-host.
Ladies and gentlemen, we actually have a very special guest in the studio today. I mean, do we list credits? Do we have enough time to list all his credits, Nick?
I got a lot of credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the fucking legend himself, FRAZER Smith, everybody.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Michigan's own FRAZER Smith.
That's right, my
Great
friend.
say.
We are you're long-suffering sports fans from Michigan, man.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you a little longer than me, no offense, but I was born into all the badness.
Yeah, see, I had a couple good years.
Right.
You know, in
You
the
got to
early
see
days.
Dick Night Train Lane.
I did see Night Train Lane. I
Yeah.
met him.
Really?
Yeah, that's how
Whoa.
old I am.
Dick
That's
Knight
crazy.
Train Lane?
Dick Night Train Lane.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Neither do I. No, he was one of the greatest football players ever.
Yes.
And my dad knew the doctor for the Detroit Lions. My dad was buddies with this guy. So we would go to the games, and then after the game, we could go down the locker room, and we got to meet the players.
Crazy.
Which when
Oh,
you're a
that's cool.
kid,
This was before the Silver Dome?
yeah, they played
Wow.
at Tiger Stadium.
Wow.
They played at the old baseball park.
Yeah.
And so we went in there, and Night Train Lane, he was married to Dinah Washington, who was a jazz singer.
Okay.
And she was waiting outside the locker room for him. And I was like, wow, she's pretty hot. And then we go in and I got to meet the guy.
Yeah.
And he was one of the greats of all time. And,
Yeah.
you know, met all those Lion players.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
A jazz singer and a football player fall in love.
That's like a kind of a dream scenario.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Yeah.
You didn't try to hit on her at all?
No, I was 7.
All right.
But I still.
A little bit of a late bloomer, I guess.
I was
huh?
thinking about it. Yeah, I was thinking about it. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was cool, though, to get to meet those guys at that age. you know.
Sure. I would like to explain to anyone that listens to this that doesn't know who you are.
I would like you to explain that, too, because I have no idea.
FRAZER. I mean, I first was put into contact with you because you host every Monday night at the Comedy Store.
That's right.
You host Friends and Family.
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Probably about 18 years.
Okay.
Because Mitzi, you guys know Luca Polanco, right?
No.
Luca is a comic. Well, he's in New York. He's in New York now, but he used to be kind of, I guess, a consultant for the store, and was here a lot, you know, as a comic. And so he called me up one day. He goes, "I want you to come over and talk to Mitzi because we want you to do Monday nights. She wants you to do Monday nights." And I knew Mitzi fairly well. So, but I hadn't talked to her in a while. So I came over, and she was still coming here every day, and she had her office upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And you go up there, and it's super dark. You can't even see her, that she's in there. "I want you to do Mondays."
And you're 7 years old still at this
I'm
point.
still 7.
Wow.
And Dinah Washington was waiting outside of the office.
Wow. Okay.
It's kind of a deja vu.
Yeah.
So Mitzi goes, "I want you to do Monday." So I've done it ever since.
Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's cool.
Such a long time. You've seen a lot of different things happen.
Seen a lot. I've seen the entire metamorphosis of Kill Tony.
Yeah.
Wow.
When there was no Kill Tony, and Tony's like, "I'm going to do this," and I told him it wouldn't work, and of course, look how right I was.
Yeah. Yeah, he should
Yeah.
listen, man. He
Oh,
doesn't, he's
yeah,
kind of
that-
stubborn. He doesn't
he
really listen.
is very stubborn. But yeah, no, I've seen a lot of stuff, and the one thing I remember one night that I remember was I went out on tour with Russell Peters,
Okay.
and Russ was playing big places in Canada. We went, you know, he's from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
He was selling out these big, you know, 3,500 seaters, and you know, it turns out they're actually easier to do than a club. And so I was really doing well the whole trip, you know. So you come back with a big head and you're like, wow, I'm doing great. And then you I came in here on a Monday night. There was like 7 people in there or something, and I didn't get one laugh.
Yeah.
And I remember with the same jokes. And I'm thinking, wow, what a dumb business this
Yeah,
is.
truly.
You're like, let me hear you in the back.
Yeah. I'm going back to Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. That is one of my favorite things about the Comedy Store is it does humble you.
Yeah, that's why this podcast is the Big Humble.
There it is.
Yeah.
He's such a pro.
He's a pro. This
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Where'd you learn? Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Where'd you learn this? This is so. Whenever your name gets brought up, every comic in unison goes.
Yeah, so kind of your signature, to explain to our audience, your signature is after a joke, after a punchline,
I snap my fingers.
you'll snap your finger.
Yeah.
These are the jokes, folks.
Folks, knock it off, will you? That started in Vegas because I was playing at Brad Garrett's club. He's got a club at the MGM.
From Finding Nemo.
Yes, Brad Garrett.
He plays the blowfish.
And he's the brother on Everyone Loves Raymond.
Yeah, that's
He's
where
the
a lot of
brother,
people know
yeah.
him from.
Yeah.
And but anyway, he's got this club there. It's a really nice club. And after the show, I was walking through the lobby at the MGM, and everybody was snapping their fingers at me. And I go, "What are you guys doing?" And they go, "You're that snapping guy." And apparently, I had subconsciously started doing that as kind of a timing thing, I guess, right? Because all I do are one-liners. So at the end of the one-liner, it just gives you a little bit of a beat, right? And I didn't even know I was doing it. So it seemed to be that like everybody was kind of catching on to it when I was doing it subconsciously. So I figured, well, I'm just going to put it in the act.
Yeah.
Matt did something like that once in Detroit. He had the sticker on his pants the whole time. You know where it says like what size pants you are?
Yeah.
And then everyone after the show came up to him and said, "Hey, you had a sticker on your pants."
Yeah, I didn't know it the whole show.
I've done that, yeah. Well, I was thinking about that, but I went with the snap instead.
It's
Sure.
iconic.
Because I was going to do the pant thing.
His was accident.
It's hard to remember a sticker every set and to bring
you
it
can't
on to
always have a
place it
sticker,
right.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it seems to work somehow. And I get the weirdest. People will come up to me and they won't even say anything. They'll just snap and then walk away.
Whoa.
Yeah.
It's legendary. It's iconic.
It is
I guess
iconic.
it is, yeah, But it was by accident. That's how it happened.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting it like came about organically.
Yeah, the old one-liner guys, as you know, always had like a drummer.
Oh yeah.
They would have a drummer and they would hit the
sure.
rim shot.
Yeah.
That's where you get that sound And it's a timing thing, and it also has, it's like a beat. It's like a musical beat.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, one of the best, of course, one-liner guys was Bob Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob Hope used
Good
to
airport
say,
too.
he does have a
Best
good airport.
airport,
My
yeah.
favorite airport.
It's one of the easier airports to get in and out of. And that's,
Sometimes they let you board from the back of the plane.
which is
Oh, yeah.
also really good. But
If you like it from the front, let's see it from the back.
It doesn't really matter where you, but it's a good deal.
Yeah.
But he, anyway, his thing was he would, he would, what he calls clipping jokes. He would tell a joke and he wouldn't even wait for the laugh. Really, he would just do another joke,
Mm-hmm.
and that gets a certain momentum going,
Mm-hmm.
like where there's a rhythm, so that even if the jokes aren't great, you get the crowd on your side and they start rolling with the laughter because of the rhythm. So it's like a musical deal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what that snap is like too, when it's working.
Sure.
Sometimes it doesn't work and people are staring at you like, what the,
Yeah.
Sure.
what are you doing?
Have you ever double snapped? Have you ever had a joke so good where you got to snap twice?
It's got to be a pretty good joke to get a double snap.
Right.
Just like one
Sometimes I
after.
get a half snap in there, or if it's just okay laugh. And sometimes I do it really slow,
Yeah.
just to,
Yeah.
throw people off.
Really get them into it.
Yeah.
Incredible.
I seen you turn a room of 7 now like into it feels like the room's full in the OR. I went once the other day. I was doing the potluck and there was I think
We
7
try not
people.
to brag on this podcast.
Well, I put my name in the bucket,
Yay.
but there was I think 7 people there, and I was like I'm not gonna go. And then I guess I want to work out this joke. I guess I'll do it. And then you went up there and turned it into a show.
Well, it's nice of you to say, Jess. I think that the only thing I've really gained from experience is, people say, well, you've been doing this a long time, is just, don't give up on the night. Especially if you're going to be hosting for a long night,
Yeah.
because sometimes it starts out bad, but if you keep your attitude good, you can turn it.
Right.
That's
People start
right.
to get on board and
Yeah. Or new people come in, they bring new energy.
yeah.
You know,
True.
but in the old days, I would get grumpy. You know, if it wasn't going good at first, I'd be like, screw this, I'm out.
That was
of
me
here.
last night. I gave up.
I just check out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's easy to do because, you're thinking, well, I'll just come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
This isn't happening.
Yeah.
But I think, if you give the night a chance, you can turn it. And that was something I just learned from experience.
Yeah. Give the night a chance is such good advice for any aspect of life.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that's true. And or anything that you do, because not everything starts out good. So, there's a tendency, I think, with people to kind of just fold their tent. Okay, this ain't working, or it's a bad night tonight or whatever. But you can turn things around, and that Monday night thing really helped ingrain that in my performance, I think.
Sure. I think those are the most probably inconsistent crowds in comedy, the Monday nights.
That's what's good about it, though.
Yeah.
You do learn. I think, somebody said recently that, you never learn if everything goes right. That's kind of true,
Yeah.
but you don't want everything to go wrong either. So you
Right.
can,
A nice balance would
Yeah,
be good.
yeah.
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 you kind of need a little balance of that.
Sure. Sure. I have a question I really want to ask. Feel free to say no. But you famously were hosting the night Michael Richards did the N-word thing.
Whoa. Which N-word?
You can see Fraser at the end of the video go back up on stage.
That's right. That was some of my best stage time that I ever got. And
Morgan's going to be so mad he missed it.
Yeah.
Poor old Morgan. Should have been there. But I basically told him to say that stuff. I said, "Listen,
It was your idea.
I go, Mike, I got something, a little tag for you if you want to try this." And
Tag.
yeah, and then he goes, "Okay, I'll think about that," and went out there and did it.
Yeah.
And I never got any credit.
Was he
I don't know
mad
what
at you
happened. Why
after?
didn't I get the credit for telling
It's like,
him
dude, the
to
joke
do
didn't
that?
work.
Yeah, I gave him the N-word idea, and I got nothing.
Yeah.
Well, no, he was a weird dude, and
Yeah, what was the energy like?
very good. I don't think I've seen a stage that was more, lit up than that. People were very happy in the room. And no,
I was like, what?
it was
Everyone cheering and
yeah.
clapping.
I never seen it.
it was some scary. It was pretty weird. I had started the night, and then I was upstairs with Sully McCullough had been the first comic on, and so Sully and I were kind of watching things on the monitor and just chit chatting, and then all of a sudden we heard that whole rant, and I go, did he just say what I think he said? So we go running downstairs, and the place was just clearing out.
Whoa.
And I thought chairs were going to start flying. I thought it was
Yeah.
going to get real ugly. He ran upstairs, I think, and hid upstairs somewhere, and the crowd was just, insane. So somebody says to me, "You got to go back up there. You're the host." I go, "What?" They go, "Yeah, you got to go back up."
And you're like, don't give up
Oh,
on the
no,
night.
Yeah, don't give up on the night.
Yeah, don't give up. That's right. I wish I'd learned that at that point. If I had
Probably
only
when
learned,
you learned
if
it.
I had learned that, I would have been not so scared. But and then Gaffigan was the next comic, the whitest guy ever.
Yeah.
So I go, "Jimmy, you're going. I'm bringing you up." He goes, "Oh no, you're not."
Yeah.
So I had to go up there and do time, and I'm like, and everybody's leaving.
Oof.
And then my joke was, it was right after the Mel Gibson thing.
Yeah.
Remember, had happened where he flipped out on PCH and on the cops.
Yep.
So I said, I think we just saw Kramer morph into Mel Gibson. Gotta laugh.
Yeah, it'll get you back on their
Gotta
side.
laugh, guys. And then I snapped.
Wow.
But
He snapped too.
yeah, well, Michael Richards snapped earlier.
Yeah.
In a different way. But then who really saved the day was Mike Marino.
Oh wow. Okay.
Marino got up there.
I met him.
He got up and he goes, "Hey, that happens every day in Jersey."
Yeah.
That sounded more like Dice, I guess. But he,
Yeah.
but it was kind of like, and then Mike knew how to handle it. He really calmed everybody down. But only a third of the crowd even stayed.
Right.
It was pretty weird. And then everyone was after me to make a CNN kept calling, and I didn't want to do it because Richards was a weird dude, but he was always nice to me.
Sure.
So I didn't want to pile on because, what are you going to say?
Yeah.
Sure.
So I just kept turning that stuff down. I didn't do any of that,
Yeah.
Have you seen him since?
I haven't. I
Whoa.
have not seen him since.
Wow, it's like 20 years ago, right? It was a long time ago.
Yeah, I haven't seen him. I don't know how I would react. I mean, I'm not mad at him or anything.
Right.
I
Sure.
mean,
I don't think he did
excuse me.
anything wrong.
Well,
Okay, here we go.
let me tell you something. If that had happened at the store, no one would have blinked.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know that.
Here at the Comedy Store?
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody would have cared.
I mean, they do it at the mothership all the time.
Well, sure, but I mean,
But that's different. That's funny.
no, I mean, it was something that was. It was obviously a horrible night. I don't know what more you can say about it, and it was just very odd having to go on after that. I do have a story about it though that was interesting. I was trying to sell a project that I had written to this company that had a show that was already on the air. So I met with them. I pitched the show. My manager knew the guys, and it was a husband and wife team that were the executive producers, and they were good in the meeting, but then they never got back to me, and they kept not returning my calls, and I was starting to get mad at them. So finally, that next morning, I got a call from their assistant, and she was all excited. Hey, they want to talk to you. They need to talk to you. And so I thought they were calling to tell me that, they were interested in my project. So I go, well, yeah, sure. Well, and so they get on the phone and they go, hey, what happened last night at the Laugh Factory? And I was so pissed that they weren't talking about my project. I go, you know what? Fuck you. And I hung up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
They never talked to me again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so pissed.
Yeah, sure.
You went off on them, and then they're
Yeah,
like,
I did.
wow,
I go,
that's
you know
what
what?
he
Fuck
said?
you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. That's crazy.
That is nuts.
Yeah.
I do wonder, like-
thanks a lot, Michael Richards. You
Yeah.
ruined my pitch.
The worst thing he's ever done, some say.
Probably, I thought.
I wonder, I'm curious as to like how long he hid at the Laugh Factory.
Yeah, like what was the energy
just-
immediately
Well,
after?
it was ugly, and apparently he wanted to go out. A lot of people just stayed out front, like it was like a scene.
Waiting for him to come out, like
Yeah.
to
Yeah, and
kick the shit out of him?
he wanted to go out and apologize, and we
Oof.
stopped him.
Yeah.
We go, no, you're not going out.
Now's
there.
not the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Smart.
and
Yeah, he slides out like Kramer.
yeah. Hits his face on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was an ugly scene,
Wow.
and there's nothing you can really say about it except that he played that completely wrong. You know,
To say the least.
yeah. There's no defending it, but I didn't feel like piling on either.
Yeah,
Sure. That's
You
fair.
know.
that makes sense.
Was he really getting heckled pretty bad? Or was
Yeah,
it
what
No,
happened
no. What
exactly?
happened really was an odd series of events, and it shows you how life is kind of weird. It was we had an upstairs a bouncer or door guy was always upstairs, and this guy didn't have to do anything except tap somebody on the shoulder because he was 6'9", 360. He was huge. He's just scary to look like.
Yeah.
He was like the man mountain. So he just was a great bouncer because he actually had a pretty cool personality. But he didn't have to, really throw anybody around. They were all intimidated just looking at him. So anyway, he was the upstairs guy, and he says to me before the show, I don't feel good. I have the flu tonight. I'm leaving. I'm going home. So there was nobody up there where there would have been somebody up there.
Okay.
So then there's a party, a birthday party, and they had paid the door guy extra, tipped the door guys a bunch of money to get the whole group in. So they were upstairs and they were really loud.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much that they were heckling, they just were super loud. And they were loud when I was on stage too, and Sully. We just kind of worked through it. But when he was up there, Michael was really touchy about that kind of stuff. And so, and so they're really loud. And he was, at first he was just like, hey guys, shut up, and they just kept going and going and going. And apparently, like the spokesman for the group was black, and that's how that all happened.
Wow.
He started to go off on that guy. And then that guy was the guy who said, I want everyone out of this club now.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's what this
I want to
guy
do
said.
that someday.
Yeah.
The guy in the audience said that?
Yeah, no, the guy that he was going back and forth with. And I yelled up to him, I'm not leaving. I'm the host. I don't have to leave.
You can't kick me out.
Yeah, you get out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it was very, what can you say? That was an
Yeah,
odd
what an
one.
iconic
Yeah.
moment in comedy.
Yeah, and I was glad to get that airtime.
Was that the first like viral clip?
Well, I was on the, I was on the end of that thing, and it was me going up on stage. And what I said, what everyone always says to me is, all I could think of was, "Sorry about that, folks."
Yeah.
That's all I could think to
Yeah.
say.
That's perfect.
And and so then people always come up to me and go, "Sorry about that, folks." Like that. Like I'm supposed to think that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry about it too now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, such a crazy story.
At least you didn't say it. These are the jokes.
I should have said that. That would have been the perfect time to say that, Jess.
I didn't realize that the show continued.
Yeah, it continued. Jamie's not going to let us show.
Sure.
Yeah, it continued. And the other thing is, I thought was interesting was Jamie Masada, the owner, was really, of course, flipped out, and he was refunding money, which he hates to do. And so he was, as people were leaving, and I think he thought it was going to ruin his club, his whole thing. And it turns out it was one of the best things that ever happened to the club because that logo is very simple. It's a simple logo. It's that orange circle, and everybody remembers the logo. So that's all they saw on the news all over the world.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was funny. I was at the store the next night. I was here, and back then nobody had a camera phone. No people didn't have cameras in their phone.
Yeah.
So, but somebody here, one of the comics said to me, we were talking about it, and we were all saying, "Well, that'll die down in a day or two." And somebody says, "No, I bet somebody had a camera phone." We go, "What's that?" "Oh, I know someone had one. I bet someone did."
Yeah.
Turns out someone did.
Crazy.
Wow.
Wow.
Someone had it and also had like the foresight to film
Yeah,
it.
and it got everywhere around the world, of course. And then it helped Jamie because people would come from Switzerland and visiting L.A. and they'd be up in the area.
I went to see the N-word guy.
Yeah, well, they would take photos of where that guy was standing.
Oh, whoa. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Yeah, and then they'd ask me to stand in there with them. And could you stand on stage? You were the guy that I'm like, get out of here.
So crazy. Yeah, you need some bad press to be successful,
I think you do. And I've often planned for that. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I was thinking maybe we could all go around and say some really bad things, and then we'll send it out to the news outlets and see.
Sometimes that works. When it doesn't, you've made a bad mistake.
Sure.
That's what I found. Yeah.
Might be worth the risk.
It helped everybody except Michael Richards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It didn't work so well for him.
It helped the Laugh Factory, and that's what's important.
But you run into all kinds of weird stuff.
Yeah.
It as a host and as many years as I've done it, you've just seen all kinds of crazy stuff happen.
Why did you start? Like, who inspired you?
Yeah, when did you start being a comedian?
Well, I started.
Was Moses pretty funny?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, but he had a good staff. Good night, guys.
Hey, here we go.
Snapperoonie. Yeah. So it happened when I was on the radio and I had a big show. Back when radio was kind of big.
Was that here in L.A.?
Yeah, and it was kind of like I was the Stern of Howard Stern of L.A.
Yeah.
And in fact, Stern used to write me letters asking how to get into the business.
Really?
Whoa,
Whoa.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So you were Stern before Stern.
Yes, and I would send him letters back. Fuck you.
Yeah.
No, I was anyway. I was really big, and I had my sidekick on the show was Jamie Masada, and it happened because Vic Dunlop. Have you guys ever heard of Vic Dunlop? Vic Dunlop was a great comic. He was at the store all the time, and a really good comedian, and he was a producer too, and he produced my show, my radio show on KLOS. So one day he says to me, "Hey, I got a guy that'd be perfect as your sidekick." And I go, "I don't really need a sidekick." I go, "I'm number one already. What?" And so he brings Jamie Masada by. He goes, "You got to meet this guy. You're going to love him." And I immediately go, "I hate that guy." And we later became really good friends. But at first, when I said I hate him, he just was very aggressive and kind of like, I'm doing my own thing. I don't really want a sidekick.
Yeah.
And then he came on the show, and it really worked. It wasn't so much, the old thing of the white guy making fun of the foreigner. it wasn't that. It was he sounded like a cartoon character, and people thought it was some kind of fake, like it was an actor,
Yeah.
an actor doing a voice.
Yeah.
Right? They didn't think it was really. So it caught on with the audience. They loved this. He played a character called Buddy Buddy. And Buddy, let me tell you, buddy, we got to get it going with the comedy. We make the jokes on the radio, and this kind of stuff. So it really caught on. He even had merch. His merch was outselling mine.
Dang.
Really starting to piss me off. and so then one day he says to me, I'm going to open a club, buddy. So he had borrowed some money from a movie producer that he met here at the store. He was always hanging out at the store. In fact, when he got here, he's Persian. When he got here, he didn't have any money, and he used to sleep on the front porch here at the store.
Whoa.
By the bar.
Yeah.
And Mitzi took a liking to him. And so he borrowed money from Neil Israel, who's a movie director who did Bachelor Party and a few other things, and married to Amy Heckerling. And so there was Greenblatt's Deli was where Laugh Factory is now. And it was about a half of that or a third of that. And next door was a Chinese restaurant that was popular called Fong's. And that's where all the stars went for takeout. And so Laugh Factory opened. Jamie didn't have a liquor license. He had borrowed this money. And when Greenblatt's moved down 2 doors to where they later became, that was their regular spot. So that place was available, and he leased it and opened it up, no liquor license. So he would go next door to Greenblatt's, get a bunch of beer and those giant turkey legs that they used to have. And you'd see people in the audience drinking a beer and eating a turkey leg. It looked like medieval times, right? It was like, and it was just all. And so Jamie says, well, you got to come down and do stand-up and, be the host. So I'm like, okay. And so I started coming down there, and I didn't really, I didn't know what to do. So I always did one-liner jokes on my radio show in the morning, because I had a morning show. So, you read the paper and you do something on what's in the news, right? So I started to do that for my stand-up. And it was all a bunch of rookies, and no self-respecting comic would be seen in there. And the comics from the store used to go around the corner there and flip us off and drive up here,
Yeah, I still do that.
Because that was a big, this was the big place, So one day, though, Paul Mooney went down there. And Paul Mooney was like a star at the store, and he had written a lot of Richard Pryor's material and Eddie Murphy's material later, and a great comedian. And so he would go down there to try new stuff, because he was a writer, and he would write all kinds of new stuff, and he wanted somewhere off Broadway to try it. So he started going down there. And then he started telling, all of a sudden Richard Pryor's down there.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden Dice is down there. And then there's Sam Kinison down there. And all the top store guys that were blowing up, all of a sudden they're going down there to try out their new material.
Yeah.
So that's where I met all those guys. And I got to know, Dice really well, and Kinison and all those guys. And, and so all of a sudden Laugh Factory started building up a little buzz, because you could see somebody good there. And then Mr. Fong passed away, the owner of the Fong's Chinese place.
R.I.P.
And yeah. And so
Or whatever they say.
Jamie bought the place. By then he had a little dough. He bought the place, and we all went in there with sledgehammers one night and knocked down the wall between Laugh Factory and the Fong's, and then he set up shop there.
What year was that?
That was 1987.
Okay.
6 or 7. Yeah, something like that.
So how big?
67.
How big was the Laugh Factory before they knocked the wall down? Because it's not that big of a place.
Oh,
now.
it's really tiny.
Yeah.
And where the bar is where the stage was.
Oh, whoa.
It probably held,
Wow.
I don't know, maybe 60.
Yeah.
I'd imagine if he's getting turkey legs from next door.
Those turkey legs were great. And, and I gotta say this: Jamie has always helped homeless people. I love him for that. And he does the Thanksgiving thing where he feeds homeless people on Christmas, But he was the first person I ever saw help homeless people. And he would go get a bunch of those turkey legs and he'd just hand them out on the street.
Really?
And so you'd see somebody pushing a shopping cart eating a giant turkey leg. It was just a weird dynamic. And that was also the area of the strip where all the hookers were.
Yeah.
That was hooker central there. And so it was just us rookie comics and hookers down there.
Good combination.
Yeah,
It was a
man.
good combo. Yeah.
It's like the Ren Fair.
We were
Born
both,
too
yeah, a little bit rent fairish.
I went to a Laugh Factory last Thanksgiving to volunteer. They handed me a turkey and they shooed me away.
Well, that's
They
probably,
said, "Move it along, buddy."
yeah, that's probably what happens now. Jamie, some things die hard. But he, he became a big success. And what helped him was Comic Strip Live. Comic Strip Live was a Fox show that they wanted. It was a stand-up show, a strip show, and they wanted to do it here at the store, but they couldn't make a deal with Mitzi. And the only other, because it was Comic Strip Live, they wanted it to be on the Sunset Strip. So the only other place was Laugh Factory. So they went down there and they opened up. They did the show there for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And they paid Jamie a huge amount. Back in those days, they were paying him $35,000 a week as a location fee.
Damn.
Yeah. And he's on, and they're on for
Even
7
these days, that would be great.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
They're on
That's
for
crazy.
7 years, and they remodeled it for him. It looked terrible inside. They totally did a remodel, which he hasn't changed one thing since then.
Yeah.
But it was a big hit on TV. It was on Fox.
That's
and-
network money.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
That's
a,
nice.
It was a big hit, and I was a warm-up guy in that show. And
Was this
that
90s or early 2000s?
That was 90s.
Okay.
90s TV money. It's nice.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
on for probably, I think, 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
And he made some really nice money, and the show that put the show on the map, on the
Yeah.
club on the map.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Until
Until Michael
Richards
came in there and really helped.
put it on again.
Yeah. But that really was what did it. That Michael Richardson.
Wow.
It's weird. Jamie's always had good luck.
Yeah.
He's had good luck. And it was tough. It was tough to get along. I shouldn't say this. It's tough to get along sometimes with Mitzi.
Sure.
'Cause Mitzi was a tough customer, and she was scary
Yeah.
because she was a star maker, a real star maker. She made probably, if you go over the list, 30 huge stars. Okay, and I don't know anybody that's done that. She had a great eye and ear for picking someone who's going to be big.
Right.
And they all came out of here, the store. But she was really a tough businesswoman. And one person she liked was Jamie. So that's why he got her blessing,
Yeah.
because she did not like store comics going and playing the improv.
Uh-huh.
But she was okay with Laugh Factory. Also, there were really when it started, there were no good comics there, so it really wasn't
Right.
competition for her. But since she liked Jamie, she was cool with it.
Yeah. It's so interesting too because I feel like there's so many pieces about the history of the Comedy Store, and I never hear about the history of the
Well,
Laugh
the
Factory.
Comedy
Yeah.
Store, has a great history, and of course, the other thing that the old comics know is Westwood Comedy Store.
Mhm.
Westwood was on Westwood Boulevard, and it was downstairs. It was a basement club, and that was kind of the place that you went because you couldn't crack the lineup here, which nobody could.
Right.
A typical night here at the store would be Richard Pryor, Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Gary Shandling. I mean, you name it, they were all stars.
Yeah.
Louis Anderson. I mean, Dice, Kinnison. You couldn't get on that lineup. So everyone else that was trying to come up in show business, Letterman was up here. Everybody, you would go down to Westwood. And that's where I first started going to the store, was at Westwood, because I couldn't get in here.
That was a branch of this place?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mitzi-
It was like the minor leagues kind
yeah, it
of,
was
right?
the minors,
Ah.
yeah. Although I said that to Bruce Baum the other day, and he chewed me out. He goes, "Fraser, it wasn't really the minors. That wasn't really his voice."
This old baseball announcer.
Yeah.
He was like,
Well, see?
yeah, that wasn't the, But he goes, he says, no. He goes, a lot of the big shots would go down there too, and they did, but they looked at it as kind of a place to try out new stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, how were the crowds there? Was that place also selling out?
Always packed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Always packed because comedy was hot then.
Right.
It's the
What
80s.
happened to that place?
The owner jacked the rent, and Mitzi didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, it was too bad because that would be great if they still had that.
Oh, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of guys did both places. It was easy to do both places. You just drive to Westwood.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was a favorite. And then there was one other thing I remember was I did my morning show from the OR.
Okay.
Oh,
Really?
One
cool.
day at 6 a.m. And this is when I was pretty big.
Yeah.
And it was like...
Was there a lot of people leaving from the night before still?
Well, no, but the comics had to stay up all night, which made them very upset.
Yeah.
They were pissed.
Yeah.
But it was like a riot on the Sunset Strip. It was a riot. It was like when Van Halen came back and played the Whiskey.
Huh.
Wow.
Same kind of... By the way, I discovered Van Halen. I can tell you that story sometime.
Where were they?
Oh.
We got time.
Anyway, the crowds, it was just, they had the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department were overrun. They ran over the barricades. It was just insane.
Dang.
It was insane.
Yeah.
Because I hate to say this, I was really big.
What years was this?
This was 83.
Oh, wow.
So everyone heard you on the radio that you were at the Comedy Store, and they all rushed over.
Yeah, and they all
Whoa.
came over.
That's so badass.
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
fun.
Did they see you through
Well,
the window? Was that window
yeah,
still there?
they were all standing outside and in the street. They blocked off Sunset.
Wow.
They blocked it off for blocks.
Crazy.
It was insane.
Crazy.
And, you know, I look back at those days like another lifetime, you know, and what was, what I always reminisce about is I wish I still had that kind of fame. You know, once you've had that, it's pretty hard when you don't for a while because you're like, well, what do I got to do to get that back?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
I don't know if anyone has that anymore.
Well, especially not on radio, Jess, because radio ain't what it used to be, you know.
But I think that what you got to experience, I don't know if people experience that anymore.
Well, I don't think they do. You know, it's funny because a couple of years there, I was about as big as you can get, and there's one big agent in town who handles all the big actors, and he always says to me when he sees me, he goes, "You were bigger than any movie star. You were bigger than any movie star."
Wow.
And I was.
Yeah.
I had Spielberg calling me on my show from his
Wow.
car. He had the first car phone, one of those giant car phones. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a phone booth in your car.
Yeah.
And and everywhere I went, if I went to a Laker game at the Forum, Mr. Smith, right this way.
Wow.
Down courtside.
Yeah.
They used to give me a microphone at halftime.
Wow.
And I could talk to the crowd at halftime on the microphone from the floor of the Forum.
Incredible.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. And everywhere you went, you never paid for a meal. You never did. You know, it was, and big stars wanted to meet me.
Yeah.
Because you're that mysterious guy, like Wolfman Jack was in American Graffiti. Remember, everybody's talking about, hey, that guy, what's he look like? You know, or what is he
Yeah.
like? And
Oh yeah, because they're not looking at you. They just hear you.
That's what makes it work.
Yeah.
Is the
You-
mystery.
they hear you talk, and they're like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah, what is up with that guy? I want to kick him in the nuts, but I mean, but it was a weird time, you know, and not realistic. You know, later you realize, well, wait a minute, why were they fussing over me? I didn't.
Sounds awesome.
It was
Yeah, I
pretty
mean, you
awesome, though.
You lived a Hollywood lifestyle. I mean, that was it, right? That was the dream.
Yeah, well, yeah. And, you know, I kind of ran Hollywood because everywhere that I went, first of all the bands wanted to give me their cassettes or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Everywhere I went. If I went to the Rainbow, my buddy ran the Rainbow, owned the Rainbow. My buddy owned and ran the Roxy, owned and ran the Whiskey, owned and ran, and, you know, and then Jamie owns Laugh Factory. And Mitzi was my friend.
Yeah.
So I had the Sunset Strip on,
Yeah, you're just up and down here
on
with,
lockdown.
Wow.
yeah.
That's
And,
so cool.
Yeah, I had it on completely to myself. And it was weird. And you'd walk into the Rainbow and, you know, Motley Crue and everyone would come up to me with their cassettes. And I would leave with my pockets filled with cassettes.
Yeah.
and then I would never listen to any of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
was
DJs
like-
used to have that kind of power. They had
Yeah.
so much power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you would play music on your show?
Yeah, it was a rock and roll show, really, with comedy.
That's cool.
You know, and it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. You know, but you know, I had a budget. You know, and I never made stern money, huge, big money, but I made good money for that era. So I had 2 Tonight Show on-staff Tonight Show writers writing for me.
All right.
I had the 2 best voice guys in town.
Is Jamie one of the 2 best?
Jamie is not one of them. Frank Welker and Dave Coulier.
Oh yeah, of
Oh,
course.
cool.
Oh, wow.
2 legends.
Cut
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah, and excuse me, everybody on my show was pretty much, a heavyweight.
Yeah.
That's great.
So I had a really top-notch show.
Yeah.
And, and I got my experience in Michigan. You know, I went to Western Michigan with Tim Allen.
Go Broncos.
Tim and I, go Bronx. And, I got a job at a local station there, a little station.
Yeah.
And I learned how to.
Tim Allen used to sell you Coke a lot, right?
He did. No, but he did sell me weed.
Oh, all right.
Oh.
Yeah. He sold the Coke to the cops. That was a mistake. But
Worked out for
yeah,
him.
it worked out all right. Tim's a cool guy, and but we were Broncos, and I got a job at this little station where you had to do everything. You had to do the sports, you had to do the news, you had to pull the copy, you had to sweep up, you had to do everything. And so literally I learned how to do everything. So by the time I got to LA, I knew how to do everything,
Right.
Yeah,
How'd you get the job in LA?
Well, I was with, do you guys ever remember a group called Firesign Theater?
No.
Firesign Theater was a comedy group that was kind of like, it's way before most people's time.
Native American?
No, they were just like, I don't know. They were just 4 guys that were funny, and they were like Cheech and Chong, same era. And they sold a lot of comedy albums.
Okay.
So they were on my show in Michigan, and they go, "Hey, you're pretty funny. You ought to try this in L.A." And everybody always says that, right? So
Yeah.
I came out here, and I couldn't get anything going. And then I asked my buddies who were from Michigan, who were living out here, I go, "Where should I go to try to get a job?" Go to K-Rock. It's just the littlest station on the dial. They're like in last place.
Whoa.
So I go out there, and it was owned by these mobsters. And
Was everything owned by mobsters?
pretty much.
Every
Yeah,
story I
pretty
hear
much,
is
yeah.
it's owned by
I
mobsters.
didn't even know, I didn't even know that, but I go in there, and they go, "Well, all right, we'll give you a show on Sunday night if you can bring one of the guys from Firesign Theater," because at that time they were a little bit hot. This is late 70s. Wow. So I go, "All right, okay." So I call one of those guys, and they go, "Yeah, we'll do it." So we go out there, and we had a show called Hollywood Night Shift. And that was our show on K-Rock, and we would ad-lib the entire show. We would put a sound effect record on, and then we would say we were on a train ride to hell, and we would ad-lib at every little thing
How
that came on there.
fun.
That's real radio producing. right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. And we would ad-lib, and then we had another guy that joined us, one of his buddies, who was a DJ and an actor, and it was a hit show. So it got to be a hit, and then they spun it off and gave me my own show.
Just like that?
Well, it took about a year.
Okay.
So after a year, they
pretty
go,
quick.
"Okay, you've got
yeah, that is quick.
you got fans. You go ahead." So and then Rodney Bingenheimer, I don't know if you know who that is.
Of course.
You know Rodney, and
You know Rodney, Matt?
No, I don't know.
no, but Rodney was
Mr. Bingenheimer?
yeah, Rodney was the guy that knew all the bands
Okay.
because he worked for NME, and he had a club on Sunset down by where Toy is now.
Yeah.
and it's called Rodney's English Disco, and he had all the English groups would go there. If you went in there, Zeppelin would be in one table and in a booth, and
Wow.
then
That's
the Who
crazy.
would be in another booth. David Bowie would be there, and he helped all those bands get started. Then when the new wave hit, he worked for NME, which is the magazine that's equivalent to Rolling Stone magazine
Okay.
here. And so it had all of the up-and-coming bands like Sex Pistols, Clash, Elvis Costello, The Police, all these bands, right?
Wow.
So Rodney would tell me, "Play this," because I didn't know anything. I was still playing Ted Nugent, and so they go, Rodney would say, "All right, dude, play this band." And I go, well, who was Elvis Costello? Just play it. So I started playing that stuff, and all of a sudden everybody in town was, because remember, radio is the only game in town. There is no podcasting.
Right.
So everybody was tuning into K-Rock, this little station, which had been nothing. All of a sudden they were blowing up. And I just happened to be there. And the only thing I did right was listen to Rodney. I
So
would go,
cool.
okay, I'll play those guys. I don't know who they are, but
Yeah.
you know. And then everybody in town is all of a sudden listening. Then they do a big article in the LA Times, which at that time was a huge, publication.
Yeah.
And every magazine, LA Magazine, did an article on me. I got all these articles because I was the maverick guy playing all the weird stuff. And then I discovered Van Halen. David Lee Roth they were the house band at the Pasadena's Hilton Hotel, which is across the street from K-Rock.
Wow.
Wow.
And so after their set, David would walk across the street, climb up the fire escape, go in through the window, and kick in the door of the studio and try to get me to play their test pressing. They didn't even have an album.
Yeah.
They like, played our test pressing. And I go, dude, get out of here. Who are you? And, I kept tossing him out, and he kept coming back. And finally I go, all right, man, just to get him off my back, I played Ain't Talking About Love off the first album. And it lit up the phones. That's how you could tell if you had a viral thing
Wow.
there. The phones lit up.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who is that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they don't got Shazam. They got to call in.
yeah, that's right.
Oh, so crazy.
So it was an interesting time. And I still and then I would go down and bring all those bands
That's
on.
straight out of a movie. I'm sorry, but you just discovering Van Halen is crazy.
Well, no,
It's like Forrest Gump.
I have a whole, thing I'm trying to pitch, a movie thing called 1979.
Called Fraser Gump.
Yeah, Praise Gump. Yeah, I like chocolates, but the that should be the name of the movie.
I like chocolates.
Yeah, but I would go to the whiskey. I go to the whiskey, and I'd bring on the police, and people would be like, it was the first time anybody'd seen them live in the United States, and nobody knew who they were. And then later I thought, wow, who was that? And all of a sudden they're blowing up. Everybody was blowing up.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do miss having I can't say I miss it. I never experienced it, but having music in this area seems like it would be so fun.
Yeah, and stars. Like everyone talks about how Sunset used to just be filled with stars
Yeah.
and famous bands.
Now I walk by the whiskey, I'm like, these freaks better get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah, well, that's how you feel. Well, but also remember, the delivery system was different. Now if you're a band at the whiskey, I don't know how you make it. I guess you just go on podcasts.
Everything's oversaturated. There's too many.
Yeah.
There's
Back
too
then,
many.
you had radio,
Right.
and that's how you could break.
Yeah, can I ask how many comics were there in the scene? Because it feels like there's an infinite amount now.
Yeah, much less, obviously.
Yeah.
Much less. And
Did you kind of know did you guys all know each other?
we all knew each other.
That's crazy.
We all knew each other, and really high quality,
Right.
because there was a smaller amount of comics. And
Yeah, you were saying it was hard to get on here, so the show must have been pretty short with just really good comics, right?
it was just packed with good comics.
Yeah.
Even the B players were great.
Yeah.
Well, all the jokes hadn't been taken yet.
Well, that's probably true.
You guys had a clean plate to work with.
That's also true. But
I can't do anything on airplanes now.
Yeah.
But the
Someone was like, men and women
yeah.
are different. The crowd goes crazy.
yeah.
I never thought about that before.
Yeah, that's really true, actually, guys. But what's weird is going and seeing these people on stage and just sitting in the back going, I'm never gonna.
Yeah.
How can I possibly ever get past that group?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that way sometimes, watching
Well, sure. I mean,
certain
but
people.
But see, the thing that was a good thing about Westwood, and that was a good thing about Laugh Factory, because Laugh Factory, you could go down. It was a B room or a C room or whatever at the time, and then Westwood was like your B room. Don't tell Bruce Baum I said that. And you could go.
Hey, what'd you say about Westwood, buddy?
Yeah, that's really not how he sounds.
You're out of here.
But I still remember sitting. My first night I ever went to Westwood, and at that time I was the huge DJ, and I go down there, and there's Jackson Purdue, And you guys know Jack?
Uh-huh.
He's really a great comic and a cool dude. And so Jackson's down there. He goes, Fraze, watch this next guy. And it was Dice. And it was the thin, leather jacket Dice who takes 5 minutes to light his cigarette behind his head and all that. And then he goes, watch this guy. And the next guy up, it's Jim Carrey. And then watch this guy, and it's Shandling. And
Is it before they were huge names or?
this was all before anyone knew them.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
crazy.
Yeah. And I still remember that time I told you I did my radio show from the OR. Mitzi made the lineup, and it was Letterman and all these great comics. And she goes, have you ever heard of Dave Letterman? And I go, no. She goes, you will.
Wow.
Dang.
Yeah. She called all that stuff in advance.
Yeah.
You know?
He used to host Potluck a lot, right? Like,
Well, he would come in here and host every night, and he hosted 7 nights a week for 3 years.
wow.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, and Letterman was a really good comic.
Yeah.
But he was kind of a hosty guy. I don't think he did regular sets.
I would say,
Interesting.
yeah, he's a host.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're hosting every night, it's like,
Yeah, well, eventually you're going to get good. No, but I think he was already pretty good.
Yeah,
Sure.
I would say.
sure.
Yeah, and he was a talent. And it was amazing that many talented people showed up here at one time.
Yeah.
You got Pryor and you got Robin Williams, and wow.
Yeah. Just legend after legend after
Yeah,
legend.
yeah. And Louis Anderson, was a very good comic, and he'd been in Minneapolis scene, which Roseanne came out of and everything. And he got out here, and Mitzi didn't want to give him a shot. I don't know. And so she wasn't going to pass him. But then he got the Tonight Show, and he killed.
Yeah.
Go on YouTube and look up his first set on the Tonight Show, Louis Anderson.
Okay.
He is spectacular. And you know who else had another? And then Mitzi had it. She was like, "Wow, I guess I was wrong." And then Drew Carey. Look up
Oh,
Drew
yeah.
Carey's first.
I love Drew
Tonight-
Carey.
Same.
Look at his first Tonight Show set.
Who
Yeah.
doesn't? Everyone loves
He
Drew
is
Carey.
such
Yeah.
a good stand-up comic. I know people forget how good these people were.
Yeah, they're so known for their sitcoms that people are naming right
that's
now.
right.
like-
That's right, Jess. That's
Yeah.
right.
Why do you think they don't take the stage anymore just because they have too much money or the passion's gone? Like Drew Carey's not doing any time anymore.
Probably a little bit of all of the above. Really.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great to see those guys.
It's also I feel like it's a very hard thing to do, and I think if you are doing other stuff, like if you don't leave a lot of time for stand up, I don't think you're gonna.
I think that's really true, Matt. And I think also, the other thing is that they, put their time in at elementary school. They were here every night, like the comics we see every night now, in the hallway, back up against the wall, shooting the breeze, and the same people that you see in the hall every night here were there every night back then.
Yeah.
So they were
great.
here for, sometimes 10 years every night.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think they just outgrew it, and it just got old for them hanging around,
Yeah.
And what's the point? Economically, what's the point?
Right.
If you're going to go back out at that point, you're going to go to the theaters where you can make some money.
Well, for the love of the game, right? I mean,
Well,
for
I
a
would
s-
think,
a smaller room.
and some people have that. I work with Tim Allen still. I open for him once in a while, and but the only time he'll play a club is if he's got a Vegas date.
He doesn't come here, right?
No, he only goes to the Laugh Factory.
Yeah,
And he's friends with Jamie,
sure.
and he's a great guy. He, when I couldn't get back on the radio after COVID, I'm back on now, just one day a week.
I think I hear you on the
What's
radio.
your show? Why don't you give it a plug, Fraze?
It's 10 to midnight every Sunday night on 95.5 KLOS, and the classic rock station. But I had today I had Alicia Silverstone on.
Oh,
Awesome.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
she
so
was-
cool.
She was my guest.
Fresh off the Oscars.
Yeah, man. And which I didn't even know she was in that movie. I felt like an idiot. But
You got to do your research,
I
Fraze.
know. I kind of.
Who's your producer over there?
Yeah. I heard you were in Rugula. No.
I still don't know what movie she's in.
Clueless, right? We're talking about Clueless?
She was in Bellagio. No, I knew Clueless.
She
But
was so
she was
good
in
in
an
that
Oscar
movie.
movie. She
Yeah.
Begonia.
Begonia.
was in Begonia. Yeah, she was in Begonia.
She was so good in that movie. I didn't even recognize
She
her.
having a little comeback, maybe? movie?
Well, I think she's in that.
I like that.
That series that shoots in Ireland, the Irish show. But she was a great guest. But it was something where.
I guess you were clueless today.
No, I wasn't. I knew Clueless. I knew the movie. Yeah, I knew what was up with that. You were Cher, right? Yeah, in that movie.
So that's a live show?
What's that?
Is that a live show?
No, it's pre-taped.
Got it.
It's a pre-taped show. So I still do that. And it just started, and I couldn't get back on after COVID.
Uh-huh.
So Tim Allen, out of the blue, I talked to Mike Binder, and Tim said, "Is Fraze back on the radio?" And Binder goes, "No, he can't get back on." So Tim called up my boss at the radio station, goes, "Hire Frazier."
Whoa.
Yeah. So the guy, my boss, that calls me, he goes, "I just got a call from Tim Allen, man," and he's a big Tim Allen fan,
Sure.
Awesome.
So I got the job. Thanks a
Yeah.
lot, Tim Allen.
That's great.
That's
Yeah.
great. Can you help me and Matt?
Well, you'll have to ask Tim. Yeah.
He's got a lot of pull in this town.
Well, he does have full.
Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, he does. That's really true.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I'm back on now, and I had Alice Cooper's done the show, and Gene Simmons from Kiss,
Don Barris.
Don Barris and the Ding Dong Crew. They come up and do the show.
Yes, I've seen it.
I absolutely love it when they come up there.
Yeah.
They are hilarious. They're hilarious. I'm telling you, Mary Jane should have her own show. She was so funny on
Don't
my
tell
show.
Don that.
No, I know.
He'll never let her.
Don's hilarious too. But
my God.
I always have a beef with my producer. Everybody kind of
Same.
knows it. Yeah, I know. The producers
Fuck
are a
you.
pain in the neck. No,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But
Is yours short too?
well, I'm not going to answer that. But Mel's my and Don just rips into it.
Yeah.
And so
so
does
funny.
she. She's like, "Shut up, Mel." She
Oh,
yells.
she does?
Yeah, she yells. at
I've
him.
never seen her yelling.
She-
She's always so quiet and
She
proper.
She is hilarious.
That's so funny.
And he is hilarious. And what their angle is that the boss likes them and that he doesn't even know who I am. He goes, "Do you even?
Oh, that's funny.
How'd you get a show?
Yeah.
Did you go to Keith's Easter egg hunt? No, I didn't. Well, we were there.
Yeah.
You never go to those things. I never saw you. I didn't see you. He took us to the Dodger opener. Did you get to go? We were sat in the dugout. All this stuff
Yeah.
like that. And just putting me down. I have this thing called 5 o'clock funnies where I feature a comic every day at 5 on KLOS, and he goes, "Well, I just started the 4:30 funnies." And,
At Don Barris.
yeah, he goes, "Our ratings are a lot better than yours." So he rips on me.
Yeah.
I love having those guys on.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's a fun gig. Fun gig you got there, Frisch.
it is fun. Thank you. And I just I'm lucky to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're thankful of that stuff as you get older.
Yeah.
You're like, because it's hard to get on nowadays.
Well, can I ask you what? So you're at the top of the world in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Was it a gradual kind of decline, or was there like a moment where things changed? Or
Well, I
you go to the Lakers game, they're like, you're actually going to sit in the.
I did
the
have to
upper
wind
bowl.
up losing my seats, but that weren't even mine. But no, what happened to me was I got into it with management, and
You're a rebel.
Kind of a bull.
I was a rebel. But you know what it is too, though. I think you believe your own character on the air.
Yeah.
You're not really that guy.
Sure.
Okay. But you start thinking maybe you are.
Yeah.
And that guy was kind of a smart ass, and he was always like, challenging management and all this stuff, right? So then when it actually happens behind the scenes, you're not supposed to do that. That's a word of wisdom for you out there. Don't do that. I would always, I remember, believe it or not, of all people, because I know he's had some issues, and we love his daughter, but Chevy Chase actually pulled me aside one time and he goes, "Fraze, quit bagging on your boss like that. You can do it a little bit, but I'm listening and you're ripping him." He goes, "That ain't going to play long term."
Yeah.
And it didn't. And they were screwing me. They were screwing me over because I had huge ratings. And it's like a sports thing. We just saw it with our friend David Montgomery for the Lions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I want something a little bigger, a little better.
A great running back.
Yeah.
But he got into it with management, so
Yeah.
they shipped him off.
Yeah.
And that's what happened to me. I got into it with management, and I was too young to realize that you got to kind of play the gray area. You can't go off.
Sure.
It was stupid of me.
So you thought like you would go on to something bigger and better.
Yeah, I really did.
And then it didn't kind of.
And then it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Those guys have an old boy network. Those guys
Sure.
all go to lunch together.
Of course,
Yeah.
they all know each
And
other.
see,
of course.
the other thing that happens is back in those days, if you wanted to cancel somebody, it was cocaine. And all you had to do was go, yeah, he's a tweaker.
Whoa, now
And-
it's pedophile.
And it would, yeah, now it's
Yeah.
pedophile. Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's kind of a little more intense.
Yeah, but you could still ruin your career.
Yeah.
Really, just like a little
And,
gossip.
and you know, and because they all hang. So they would say, what's Fraser like? What's Fraser like? Oh, man, he's a coker.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to deal with him. He's trouble. And as soon as that word gets out, you're blacklisted. I was blacklisted.
Whoa.
Yeah, I was blacklisted. I couldn't get a job.
Crazy.
And,
That's crazy.
Yeah. And, but, you know, looking back, I am mad about that on their end. You know, you can't take them completely out of the equation.
Sure.
They were dicks. But I should have known better.
Yeah.
I should have been smarter than that.
There
You
is
know,
a game to play.
Well, you know what? There's also something you feel great at the time
Mm-hmm.
when you tell somebody off.
oh yeah,
You know?
you get a little fuck you money.
Yeah,
know
there
what I mean?
you go. And I would just be like, you know what? And that was my character on the air. And
Sure.
the audience, that's why the audience liked me. They liked me because I would stand up to the establishment.
Uh-huh.
And you thought the audience was going to save you, kind of. A little
Well,
bit.
yeah,
like,
which they're
they'll
nowhere
follow
to be
me.
found. You know?
Well, you could have get on your own podcast.
You know, and then, you know, there were no
At that
podcasts.
time, yeah.
You couldn't go to a podcast, you know. And the other thing I noticed, which was annoying, was that at that point, I had all these women because I've never been a ladies guy or anything like that. But all of a sudden, when you're the big DJ, that's what you got. And I noticed as soon as I got fired, they were all gone.
Yeah.
Like the next day,
Yeah.
they were
Messed
gone.
up.
And so was everybody else. You know, my management, I actually I was with a huge manager, and I went to his office, and my stuff was in a box outside of the
Dude,
door.
this town's
Whoa.
disgusting. Man.
Like you used to see on, you know, TV.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was my, in a box.
Yeah.
You had the
And,
full Hollywood experience. Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
Top to bottom.
Yeah, I went through the whole deal. And it was
It's depressing a little bit.
depressing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it made me a little pretty strong mentally.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's hard to, get me down too much after something like that because you've already been through something that was pretty heavy.
Yeah.
You know, but you do regret being in that position because it's hard to get in that position.
Yeah.
At least, or do you feel like free though? Because wouldn't the alternative be you're just under their thumb your whole life? Like,
Yeah, I think that's true. And you know what? Eventually it's going to happen anyway.
right?
Because look what happened to radio anyway. It took a dive.
Right.
Yeah, at
and
least it was on your
It's still
terms.
hanging in there,
Yeah.
but it ain't what it was. And so eventually you're going to, eventually that goes away anyway.
Yeah.
But by then you've hopefully saved up a lot of money. I was a party guy. I was always, I was on cocaine, but I wasn't on cocaine that much that I couldn't do my job.
Right.
Right,
Not in the
yeah.
way those guys were saying.
Yeah,
They were probably
exactly,
doing
exactly,
coke.
Matt.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
They were
the
trying-
80s, wasn't it? Everyone was on
everyone,
cocaine.
including my bosses. You know
That's
they
what I
were.
mean.
Yeah. They're
Come
doing
on.
coke, calling you a tweaker.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
80
That's
is
what
short for
happened.
8 ball.
That's what happened, man.
Yes.
So yeah,
So yeah, you were a partier, like nightlife style all the time. out
yeah.
and
It
about.
was a light, social thing. With them, those guys, and you're absolutely right. Here they are at lunch talking about me, and they're, meanwhile, I was never late to work. I was a professional, and
just like Matt.
Listen, there's construction today.
yeah. But what I mean by that is they were trying to paint me as irresponsible,
Right.
Wow.
and I don't know how you could do that because I was always on time and always, But it did show me that if people want to turn you out, put you out, you're out.
Yeah.
I couldn't get back in.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like you thought you were like bigger than the show a little bit, kind of like.
Well, I was sure that something would come up.
Yeah.
And finally I did get to the other station, KMET, their arch rival. They finally hired me over there, and that was a big station too. So that kind of saved me.
Morning slot?
No, I did just weekends.
Okay.
And then I went and did after KMET went off the air, I went to KLSX, which is no longer around. And I was there for 10 years because I had a boss that was cool. He was my fan. So when you have a fan as your boss, you're okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So I got lucky for 10 years.
All right. I got to look more into that.
Yeah, it's hard to find that.
Great.
It's
That
not,
would
Let me
be
know if any of
awesome.
you guys are hiring.
it's not easy to find anybody. Well, that's it was exciting when it was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a lot of pressure
Sure.
because then you have to live up to it every morning. You have to be good. And there's a lot of mornings when you can't really be good.
Yeah.
So I had to count on my team covering me.
Yeah.
And I was still trying to do stand up. So a lot of times I would get zero sleep and I'd run in there. Had all the big stars on, everybody, and discovered a lot of people, a lot of bands, a
Yeah.
lot of comics.
Yeah.
Gave them a lot of comics their first break.
Sure.
I have a Cartier Roadster watch that George Lopez gave me
Wow.
because I got George his first appearance on anything
What was it?
on my show, on my morning show, which at that time was huge.
Yeah.
So for a guy who had nobody knew who he was at all.
Wow.
And one of the producers of another show gave me a cassette of George. And I thought it was hilarious because he's a really good comic.
Yeah.
So I put George on the show. And he never forgot that. And I had him on all the time. And I
That's
had
nice.
Kinnison on all the time.
Yeah.
It's nice when like someone gets famous, but they remember you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like-
that
like
was
they're
real
good
nice
people.
of George.
For sure.
Real classy.
Yeah, classy
And-
guy.
Yeah, and all the guys, though, Dice, Kinnison, everybody.
Matt, you know Dice?
Yeah. I actually have a picture on my wall, my bedroom wall, of Dice bringing me up in the OR.
Dice is something special.
Nick gave it to me for Christmas.
He's something
How
special.
did he bring you up?
He said, well, he thought Pauly Shore was next, and so he said, this next guy from the movies Encino Man and In the Army Now, and then the piano player was like, no, it's Matt Lockwood, and he goes, who? And he goes Matt Lockwood. He goes, who?
Oh,
And he goes Matt Lockwood. He goes, who?
classic Dice.
And then he goes, well, I thought it was going to be somebody else, but it's this guy, so I'm just going to do the same intro. From Encino Man and In the Army Now.
That's funny.
Give it up for
That's
Matt Larkwood or whatever. he said.
No, Rockland. I thought he said.
Rockland, yeah, Matt Rockland.
Hilarious.
Well, yeah,
But
Dice.
the picture is badass.
The picture's sick.
Yeah.
He has a cigarette in his mouth.
It's
He's
a
got
Van
gloves
Corona.
on.
Just
Yeah, it's a Van Corona picture.
Yeah, well, he is, classic. And so was Kinnison. And we used to put Kinnison up to drive the audience out.
I was gonna ask, do you have to reset all his mic levels?
But we put him up when we wanted to go home.
wow.
At like 2:00 we wanted out of there. So we would go, Sam, go up there and yell at everybody. So he would yell at everybody, and then what was used to run the room, he would later become famous off of that.
Yeah,
Yeah. That same style.
Crazy.
Wild. Yeah, it's such a wild thing.
The thing that was really interesting was not that you didn't really know that any of those people were going to be big.
right.
Nobody knew
They're just
them.
people.
Yeah. It's just like people you see in the hallway now. And some of these people are going to be big,
Some.
Yeah, some. And that's all, but back then,
Probably.
Yeah. Did you ever interview anyone who wasn't famous?
Never made it.
oh, plenty.
It's like everyone you met.
No, but I
big.
did have a pretty high percentage.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
But yeah, many people or some people that made it big and then came back down.
Right.
You really get all types.
It is. It is funny to see some people come in, and I'm like, I don't really know who that is, and then you kind of hear about them or read about them, and there was a point where they were.
Yeah, and there were even
blowing
some
up.
people at the Comedy Store here that the only guys that really remember are like Argus or
The alumni show. Anyone on that?
Yeah, a couple of those people. Yeah,
Eleanor's really good about
Eleanor knows a lot of
history stuff.
them. Yeah, and Karen Haber would know some of them. But there's very few people that still remember some of these comics that were really good. But then they just, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
you
There's a
know,
lot of self-destruction and
especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
That was a party time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I think also it's just a thing where some people don't have that stick-withedness
Yeah.
that you really need, that's beyond just talent.
Right.
Because you have to be able to, hang in there.
Yeah.
And some people, they'll do that for a while, but then that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. They hit a ceiling and they can't really.
Hey, you
push
got to give
through
the
it.
night a chance.
Give
Yeah.
the night a chance.
Well,
Yeah.
what's
I like
funny?
that.
What's funny is when you see them come back a lot of times and try to do stand-up, and they're doing a dated version of it.
Interesting.
Yeah. They never grew.
Yeah, they're still doing that old style, and people kind of stare at them like, "What?"
Yeah.
That, and Argus does not do that. He's right up to date.
He is.
He's really on
He's
top.
Yeah.
always
He
writing.
writes jokes that happen in the news that day.
Yeah, he's very
Yeah.
sharp. And and some of the older comics can do that.
Mhm.
But a lot of them just stopped doing it. Tom Dreesen still performs. He's very good.
He has a card with credits that he gives you
Yeah. Well, he's got
I've never brought
if
him
you
up.
bring him
He did-
up. Yeah.
he's got credits.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
And he wants you to say them all.
Yeah, he's got a lot of credits.
I think he was like giving away copies of his book when I first saw him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on stage.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's a very good comic.
Yeah, he knows how to
he
plug,
goes
too.
back to the day, and he really has always been good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think that's it.
That's how you end it?
Yeah, it's over.
Oh,
See ya.
reason?
No, I just, we got to wrap it
I
up.
think that's
That
it.
sounded like how my career ended.
Listen,
Like that.
my producer's
A
been
box of your stuff.
my producer's been telling me
There's
you've
a
been doing
box outside
coke.
the door. I didn't even have anything here. How did that happen?
No, thank you for doing this. You're always. I mean, it is like it's interesting to hear that story and obviously I didn't know about how you were post fame and stuff, but like, I feel like every time I see you, you're like a light. You like shine.
Oh, yeah.
You're always so joyful. You remember everybody, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm here every day and I forget most people's names.
Well,
You not only remember people's names, you remember something about them.
well, Maddie, thanks for saying that and noticing that. I like people. I'm a people guy,
Yeah.
despite what those old bosses of mine said.
Yeah.
But I am a tweaker. No,
They were right about
they were
that.
right. Doggone it, those guys. But I do love people, and there is a lot of joy in this industry if you look for it.
Right.
It's easy to find the dirt.
Yeah.
And I've been through plenty of that too.
Yeah.
And there've been, certain stretches of my life where that's how I was too. Grumpy, pissed off, unhappy. But, I think when you catch yourself, you go, wait a minute, that's no way to live life. And might as well enjoy myself.
Yeah.
So I try to do that. And I think when you show up at any job or anything with a good attitude, it always plays better.
For sure.
And so you kind of, even if you're not having a good day, you kind of try to trick yourself. I also find that the comics, I love them, and they bring something up in my spirit. When I see you guys, I'm like, man, this is fun. I love being here on Monday night. This
Yeah.
is cool. And, I love seeing their talent and how they're growing. And so for me right now, I just love being able to still come out and do it.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'll be there next Monday. You're there every Monday, right?
I'm there every Monday.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there next Monday.
It's
Are you gonna go?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Well, I'd love to have you guys there. And, I do just love that Monday night.
Yeah.
It's even if
fun.
it's off, there's only a couple people. Still, it's fun.
It's part of the
fun.
charm of it is like you never know.
Yeah, you just don't know. You don't know. And what I was saying earlier, just keep in mind, don't give up on the night. It could be a good one.
Yeah. Don't give up on the night.
Yeah.
Name of the episode.
Well,
Oh,
do you?
for sure it's
I thought it was
the
gonna be
name.
Fraser Gump.
Yeah, praise God.
Oh,
He likes chocolates. Good night.
Do you have anything you want to plug? You plugged your radio show a little
Plug
bit.
the radio show. Let me see. What else? I've got, my script, 1979,
Mm-hmm.
trying to move that.
Okay.
If there's any producers out there. I think that is a winner. Everybody that I pitch it to loves it, and I've almost sold it 100 times. It's just basically what I was telling you guys. It's a strip in 1979.
so
Yeah.
cool. I
Which
would
is-
love to watch that
Yeah.
movie.
when it
So
was
the Smashing Pumpkins probably.
when it was popping.
Yeah.
When it was popping, you can't believe how exciting it was compared to now.
Yeah.
You should start it now. Oh, I'm rewriting your movie.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jess.
Sure, now it's just hotels and
Yeah,
trash.
that's really what it is. And
Yeah.
back then, it was like exciting, like you can't believe.
Mhm.
And
so cool.
and a lot of careers got made right on this little stretch of a mile between Laugh Factory and the Roxy.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Living legend, Fraser
fun.
Smith.
Yeah, thanks again for doing it. Jesse,
my pleasure, guys.
do you want to plug anything?
1979.
All
Hell of a
right,
year.
Jess.
See it in theaters soon,
I'm
man.
co-writing it.
Yay, Jess. She came up with an open.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you.
Wait, jetskijohnson.com. Come see me on the road.
yeah.
You had your chance. You
I
blew
gotta
it.
have a, I
And go
gotta.
listen to our podcast, Jeff.
Yeah.
Fuel.
Yeah,
check
Jet
her-
Fuel in Lawrence, Kansas. When does this come out?
Jet Fuel in Lawrence, Kansas.
Lawrence, I'll be in Lawrence, Kansas in April, and Toronto, Hamilton, and St. Catharines. I need people to buy tickets.
Yeah, this
Great.
comes out. This
Yeah,
comes out
cool.
in 2 days. This will be on 2 days.
Cool.
If you're in San Fran tonight, I'll be there. So
What are
Where?
you talking?
see you tonight. This comes out Friday.
When does
Do you want to say the name of the club or?
I don't know what it is.
It's not Cobb's.
DM me. I'll answer it.
You don't.
It's not. It's like I don't think it's at a club, but
You ever see anything this unprofessional?
I was gonna say this is
what are you talking about?
this is classy.
I'm wearing
That was
shorts.
actually very professional.
You don't know where you're
Yeah.
playing on Friday in San
No,
Francisco?
it's got a name and it's there. No, it's just Friday. It's just the one.
Actually, the mystery might work for you.
yeah.
it might.
Yeah.
Buy a ticket to every venue and then I'll tell you which one it is.
Eventually, you'll hit on one where he's there.
Yeah, I'll be
Well,
around.
thanks for having me on the podcast. I had fun.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming.
thanks, guys.
That was cool.
We'll
Thanks,
see you guys
Rich.
next week. Stay humble.